Welcome to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. And today is Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. And we're glad you're with us. And Michael will pop in here in just a second. We also have codependence this evening, so that's exciting. Yesterday's show, I felt, was really deep, really impactful, and everybody was in a sweet space. So, and Michael's now with us, so I'm going to say welcome, Michael.
Well, thank you, dear heart, and welcome, everybody. Delighted and honored that you are here with us, and that we get to extend the conversation to another level.
And we do have good news. Susan Bingham got to go home today, and they've had her up walking on a walker, and her son and daughter are both with her, so she's doing really well.
Yeah, within an hour of the surgery, she said she'd walked about 30 feet with a walker. So, like, pretty fast. So she sounds like she's doing well. And how's everybody else doing? What's exciting in your world? Go for it, Gary. Welcome.
Hi. It was good to see Susan this morning. I was on a call with her husband and a couple other people who are on that Wednesday morning group. And she came in on her walker and said hello to us and looked really good.
That's amazing, isn't it?
I know. She said they had her up walking, like immediately. But she's on mega painkillers, which
Right.
yeah, is understandable. But yeah, so she seemed in really good spirits, which was really
Yeah, it's
nice.
amazing. They can go in and take out a chunk of bone like that and be up walking around. They've definitely perfected that surgery. Some amazing technology.
Yeah. I do have a question from the call yesterday.
Cool.
And I didn't write it down, but there was a word you mentioned that I had never heard before, and I didn't know how to spell it.
Midrash?
Yeah.
Midrash.
Yeah.
Oh.
And is that an English word or is that an Aramaic word?
It's actually comes out of the Hebrew. And, you've heard of the type of, I think in this culture, it's generally called argumentation that, let's say, for instance, rabbis do. They do this argumentation. Well, it's actually called Midrash.
Okay.
And it comes from the word inquiry. The root of it is inquiry.
So I think, too, a lot of people use the word interrogation, which is a very harsh word to me, but they'll say,
yeah, it's pretty harsh.
We need to interrogate our racism, and I'm like, that seems to be a word people are using. And I had a consultant who had that in her thing, and I said, I don't think this is gonna work with our board. I think we need to soften this language a little bit. So,
Right.
yeah, I like the term midrash because, well, for us in our culture anyway, it doesn't have any baggage with it, like the term interrogation or argument.
Yeah, interrogation sounds pretty heavy duty.
Yeah.
But midrash, it comes from a word darash, D-A-R-A-S-H, and it means to seek, to inquire, to explore. And again, as I said yesterday, it's based in words, so it can be a little tricky because words have got so much baggage with them just by the fact that they're words. But basically, it's a rather gentle, although I understand it can become a heated process. But the whole idea is to enter relationship with others in that inquiry.
Yeah. And is there a difference between ENQUIRY and INQUIRY?
Say that again, I didn't quite catch it.
So the word inquiry can be spelled
Right.
either with an E or an I. And that's not something that I know the difference between.
I just looked it up, and it says that with an I, it's standard American English, while the British spell it with an E.
Oh, okay. So that's probably where my confusion came from, having lived in Britain for 20 years.
Those
So
British brain cells, right?
yeah, my British brain cells. Okay. Okay. Thanks. That's really was my only question was about that term.
Well, and just give me a second here. I think I've got some other notes on it that speaks a little more about it. It's a powerful process. So some of the foundations of it, and it's considered to be a sacred inquiry. And some of the foundations of it is recognizing that conversations are alive. It's not discussing something dead from the past. And that in that midrash, in that conversation, that exploration, there's a living field of meaning that unfolds for each person involved, even though each person's ideas about it may be different. They say they go on some of the definitions of it. Meaning is layered, not singular. There's no final one correct interpretation. Truth in Midrash is approached through multiple angles, voices, tensions, and sometimes contradictions. Each part of the text or subject being exposed is approached for the idea of extracting understanding, information, and engagement. For me, I brought the idea of making it a breath-based inquiry, paying subtle attention to what it evokes in each of us, and that each person, that for me, that's what was happening Friday. Is each one was, this is what's going on for me around this, and they go on to say it's closer to listening than explaining, closer to discovery than conclusion.
So I think that process kind of opens up the mind to other possibilities of seeing things or thinking. And a couple of sentences ago, you said it was about discovering truth. And what flashed through my mind when you said that was a lot of people have what they call their personal truths. And I'm wondering, what is the relationship between like universal law, which are truths, and personal truths? It's like, oh, yeah, that has a lot of meaning for me. So I'm going to own that. I'm going to take that in and that concept and make it an ideal for myself, for example. Whereas somebody else may have a different ideal. So I don't know how that sense of personal truths relates to universal truths or ideals. I'm going to have to think about that.
My take would be that each person has constructs in their minds at any given moment, and this construct may seem true to me, so I would refer to that as my personal truth. And if we go back to the Harvard research that I quote often, or they take somebody to the lab, they're measuring brain cell firings, and they can measure 10,000 brain cells firing in a time frame of about a 25th of a second, and they determined that in that same time frame that 5 plus or minus 2, or pardon me, 7 plus or minus 2, a minimum of 5, maximum of 9 bits of data was all that would go into conscious awareness in that time frame. And it's been estimated in that same time frame that there are perhaps in the actuality 20 trillion bits of data. My definition of ultimate truth would be the actuality is the 20 trillion bits. It's what is. Whatever our perceptions about it are, it's what is. And to me, one of the objectives and what I see the breath facilitating is that the breath, when applied, when we hit that, what I'm starting to call the Dekuch factor, that dissolves anything that's out of alignment with truth. And then the actuality, my take is the actuality is able to come in and rewrite what is in error. Like
So,
when we invite the
yeah,
actuality in, if there's anything in my, repertoire that's not accurate about what is going on in the world, i.e., as the created world, then by letting that in, it will restructure me, it will reorganize me
yeah, and
until what I
that's
hold is
really
then in alignment with truth.
that's the important thing right there, the alignment. So, because personal truths can be out of alignment
Oh,
with
yeah.
the truth, and I used to have this conversation, with my first husband. Is there an ultimate truth? Is there, or is it all, are we all just made up of a whole bunch of our own personal truths, and there is no like reality out there? Because everything is perception and everything is projection.
Until
So,
you get rid of it, until you get rid
yeah,
of projection and perception.
well,
That
at the
line in the
time,
Course.
I didn't know that at the time,
Yeah, right.
that you could get
Understood.
rid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So,
lesson in the Course to me is just so profound. The one on what is the world. And in one simple sentence, it lays it out. The world is false perception. The world that the
yeah.
Course is interested in working on, it is born of error. It has not left its source. It will remain no longer than the thought that gave it birth is cherished. And what wipes out the thoughts that are out of alignment with truth is bringing in the intelligence of the breath. Otherwise, the what we call the body's mind or perception has no intelligence whatsoever. Whatever it holds is true. If its truth is a prejudice against this group or that group, then that's just what's true. That's the absolute way it is. And until we let the actuality in to rewrite us, to restructure us, then that becomes one's personal truth and what one lives in. That's the sea that most people swim in. And most of what comes from carbon-based, well, ultimately, my take is nothing that comes from carbon-based memory is true in the real sense of the word, because by definition, if it came from carbon-based memory, it was stored in carbon-based memory. It's from the past, and here it is pretending to be the present. Something the past can't be the present because there's no future in the past. But when we let the actuality, when we can collapse, we can free ourselves of that world of perception. You've heard me say it 1,000 times, got to be out of your mind. Then the actuality, there's room for that to come in if we breathe. And that breath carries the intelligence that really reveals to us from the actuality what is actual.
Yeah. And when I was doing social work, I saw that a lot, that people would vehemently exclaim, "This is my personal truth. It's the way it is. This is how I'm going to live my life." And, just very uh, closed to any other way of
Dogmatic.
thinking. Yeah, yeah. So I just, when you just spoke, I just had this sense that um, holding on to that is such a prison. I felt
Mm,
stifled and imprisoned by
yeah.
that. I mean, I literally felt it in my body when you were speaking. I was like, oh my gosh, when we're imprisoned by our personal truths, um, rather than seeking to go beyond those somehow. I I feel imprisoned by them. And at the same time, I feel like I need to honor those in other people. You know, I need to honor it in myself. I need to say, okay, yeah, this is something that's important now. So I can't dismiss it, but I need to, do you know what I'm saying? That
I think I hear you.
you know,
And my take would be, while I can honor that that's someone else's truth, I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to go along
yeah,
with it.
right,
I can
right.
stand up and say, you know, that's not in harmony. And the whole idea of Midrash is that nobody's got the truth. Again, if it can be spoken in words, it's not the truth. So there's a space for each person to bring forward what might even be conflicting perspectives. But in Midrash, everybody's just going to is going to be with it, and it's a place for where ultimately for it to really work, it's not a place to bring issues. If issues come forward, then issues need to be addressed and dissolved, because issues will put an end to the midrash. Because a person with an issue, that's when they're going to come up with that dogmatic. You're doing this,
Well,
as opposed to their space.
and I've seen that, 100,000 times where there's a conversation going and then somebody comes in and makes a dogmatic statement about something. And what it does is it shuts the conversation down. And
Exactly.
I don't know how to address that. What's the best thing to say to people? Is it to say, well, um, to honor that point of view and to say, well, I'd like to continue the conversation because people shut down conversations, though, for a whole variety of different reasons, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
Lots of issues lead
yeah,
lead to that. Yes.
right.
And
So,
one of the most prominent ones is that I have a reality in my mind which I am going to prove is true about you, as opposed to I have a reality in my mind which I realize is a reality in my mind and may or may not be true. So it becomes, again, part of the inquiry rather than the dogmatic statement. Look, this is what you're doing. It
yeah,
becomes more of an inquiry, and recognizing that if I'm telling you what you're doing, that's probably true about me. Well, no question it's true about me. And then there are two places I can come from. I can come from a place where I'm dogmatic about it and that's the way it is, or it again becomes part of the inquiry.
yeah. I'll give you an example. We were sitting around with our neighbors and we were talking about the um, about ICE and how they were dealing with immigrants and people who aren't people who are Americans and everything. And this one neighbor who, he's a little problematic in that area. And he said, well, if they're here illegally, then they're criminals and they should be treated as such. And it just shut the whole conversation down. And um, because it was so dogmatic and so, oh, there's no room for conversation here. So nobody else was able to continue the conversation. I'm like, what should I have said something? Um, I don't know. And I feel a responsibility sometimes too. I feel like um, if people say things that are anti-humanist to me, uh, I I feel like if there's silence afterwards, it's like an implicit or a tacit acknowledgement that that's okay to say that. And at the same time, I don't want to make somebody wrong or attack somebody. I want to be, like you say, I want to honor their point of view from their place of understanding and be able to step out of that circumstance somehow. I don't know. Any thoughts?
Michael, you're muted. Michael. Let me see if he got disconnected or something.
Okay.
Excuse- Yeah,
Carrie?
my apology. I got cut off. If you could go ahead with that question again, I had gotten cut off, Gary.
Oh, what was the last thing you heard?
Um, I'm not even sure. We're working on a major project, and the person involved in it had just called me, so I had to jump onto their call. So I missed about the
Oh,
last maybe minute and a half.
okay. So did you hear the story of talking to my neighbor?
No, you were just
Okay.
starting that, and that other call came in, and I knew I had to
Okay.
grab it. So my
Oh, okay. No
apology.
problem. No
Go
problem.
ahead.
So, we were sitting around talking about ice. All of our neighbors, we get together on Sunday evenings when the weather's nice, and uh, about how they were treating people
Right.
and what was going on. And this one neighbor who is very, very mega guy, he said, well, if they're here illegally, then they're criminals and they need to be treated that way. They need to be treated really terribly.
Mm,
No due process, et cetera, et cetera. So it
yeah.
basically, I mean, he was so adamant about it, he shut the conversation down. Everybody just went silent. And so my dilemma is um, there's a tacit understanding that when people don't respond to something like that, that person thinks, "Oh, everybody agrees with me. It's okay. I've
Right. Yes.
managed to shut the conversation down." So how do I respond in a way that uh, still honors his point of view because that's his point of view, and that's why I should honor it because it's his, not because I agree with it or disagree with it. And I so I don't want to like make him wrong, and I want to kind of stand up for what I think is right in terms of my humanistic point of view.
Well,
So that's
here's my offering: is that when people let's look at we started out with a conversation about truth. When people are in blockage of truth and truth shows up, their stress goes up. If your response to someone is likely to send someone through the roof, then probably they're in blockage of truth. And there's a great story in the scriptures about a fellow named John the Baptist. They called him the raging maniac in the desert because, and they called him the forerunner of the Christ. This is to give some background on my answer to that question. So why did they call him the raving maniac in the desert? Because he's the one who could reach into people's unconscious and show them what they were holding. He could deliver truth when people were in blockage of truth. And he did that very dramatically to the king and queen, who were totally out of alignment. But they were the king and queen, so they're like, well, nobody should hold us accountable. He held them accountable, and their stress went up. And when their stress went up, they took off his head. There were two skills, my take, that John the Baptist had not developed, is he did not know when to duck and when to hold the mirror up. And if you're going to confront somebody, especially with someone where there's hostility, you definitely, people call it walking on eggshells. You want to be careful because if you present truth where someone's in blockage of truth, their stress is going to go up, and oftentimes they're going to want to take your head off. That's just part of the game. And sometimes you pick your battles. Sometimes you just keep quiet, and other times it's time to speak up and bring forward new information. Like, in the case you're talking about, it's like, well, the truth is we're all human beings. One could point out, let's say in that example you used, that we're all in the Aramaic language. The word neighbor is not a word that describes somebody who lives down the block from you. The word neighbor is a mental word, and it means anybody that you think about. So the kind of response I might give in that situation, if I felt it was my place to play John the Baptist, might be, well, what I understand is everybody is my neighbor, and I choose to treat my neighbors as I would like to be treated, and I'm going to treat them lovingly, gently, and with respect. And yes, if they've made an error, if they're out of alignment, I'm going to hold them accountable, but I'm going to hold them accountable if it's my job to hold them accountable at a level at which their offense has occurred. You know, one of my mentors was a Superior Court judge named Asa D. Kelly. He was a Superior Court judge in Albany, Georgia. He had actually been in charge of the whole prison system in Georgia at one time. And he's the person who really inspired us to create the Chorus Laws of Living. And one of the things Kelly did, he was in Albany, Georgia, and Albany has been referred to as in the state of Georgia, has been referred to as a body part lower than the armpit of the body. It's a pretty rough place. And over his tenure on the bench, he put thousands of people in prisons for many years in some cases, but he never punished one person. And what Judge Kelly would say to people, I mean, some heinous crimes would come before him. And he would, in essence, say to the person coming before him, I love you like a brother, but the community has taken up a collection and built a building with bars around it and asked me to determine who's safe in the community and who isn't. And I care for my community. I care for you. And I have the job of determining you're not safe in this community. So I'm going to sentence you to, 25 years in prison. By the way, if you'd like to do some healing work, I'll also sentence you to loss of living so that you can do some recovery from what you're dealing with. But so holding people accountable at a level where their offense is. So I might say to that person, well, that person did come into the country illegally. They were 6 years old, brought by their parents, escaping from a country that had collapsed because an American corporation had come in and destroyed their forests, which was the essence of their livelihood. So I can understand why that person is here. And yeah, they did something illegal, but when I look at the ameliorating circumstances, I can have some compassion for them and recognize that they're my neighbor. And by the way, even the most heinous criminal does not deserve to be punished. Oh, yes, they do. That's what stops crime. Excuse me. Look at the research. What creates crime is punishment. The more people are punished as children, as young adults, the more they tend to fall into crime. Punishment does not prevent crime. Punishment causes crime. Now, again, does this person deserve to be in prison? They're not safe in the community? Absolutely. Do they deserve to be beat up and punished for it? Traumatized for it? No. We need to put an end to that stuff. We need to start to create a human community where we care for each other as humans. So that would be, the kind of approach that I take in a situation like that. And, I might get my head taken off, cancel the thought,
Yeah. Just have to be,
metaphorically.
yeah, just have to be aware of that.
Yeah, that's delicate.
Yeah, I can put it, oh, not that you're wrong, but this is how I've thought about it,
Yeah.
This is my
Yeah, I have a
thinking
different
about it.
perspective. Again,
Yeah.
that's going back to Midrash of having a conversation where I don't have to be right, you don't have to be right, but here's what's true for me, what's true for you. They can
Yeah.
coexist, and maybe both things can be true even though they seem to conflict on the surface.
Yeah. Thank you.
But it's a big conversation. I'm with you. I hear you. Any other thoughts for you?
No, I think that's all I had that question about truth and personal truth and when to when and how to stand up to ideas that I find difficult and not necessarily make the other person wrong, because I feel like there's a level of superiority can come across, oh, you're uneducated, you don't know what you're talking about. There's that on the whole liberal side of things, like when Hillary Clinton called people deplorables, which was so judgmental and so dehumanizing. And I don't want to do that. Like I said, I want to honor them and their point of view, even if I disagree with it, without making them wrong.
Well, there's a commitment that falls in line with that. I promise to trust you enough to tell you the truth and treat you lovingly, gently, and with respect in my thoughts, my words, and my actions. That's what that whole commitment's about, is developing and building for ourselves a personal code that takes us out of and heals the prevalent power person dynamics that tend to run the world, and coming from a different place. So I
Yeah.
join you in that for sure.
Yeah, I like that personal code idea. I think I have to go back and read that again, what I developed. Yeah, thank you.
We keep it on the bathroom mirror all the time. It's always there.
Yeah, okay. Good idea.
Cool.
And Susan Bingham has joined us.
Susan.
Well, hey there, young lady. And I see Celinda's got her hand up too, but let's say a welcome to Susan Bingham. Hey, welcome.
Hi, thanks.
How are you doing?
At the moment, it's challenging. There's a lot of pain, but right now I'm okay. So I thought I would tune in. I was in on part of Tim's show, but I've got my daughter and my son, and my Iraqis are fussing, and everybody's buzzing around saying, "What can I do for you?" It's like more help than I need, but it's wonderful. But and
Yeah,
also,
receive all you can.
and it's the radio show has been very intense too. And I listened to the Friday. No, I think I was on the Friday show, and then the Monday show. I forget.
Yesterday's show is, I think, the one you're talking about.
Well, it was the one where you suggested that a conversation which was flowing nicely with Midrash had been interrupted, and I didn't remember the interruption.
Yeah, that was yesterday's show.
Okay, well, and you were talking about various and sundry Susans, and I wasn't sure whether I was on the hot seat or not.
Right.
And I think I figured it out. But so I went back and listened, but my whole response to all that was it was just my own. I mean, I don't know what it was, but true to form, as Susan Fluick was saying, we got 10 people in the room, and you were going to have 10 responses to things.
Everybody's got a reality.
Yeah. But the group itself is changing. Michael, you've made the huge mistake of teaching us so well that we take over, and we might start teaching what you teach, and we might start acting like the teacher, which is what I thought you were saying was happening. And the old protocols were that if you're the teacher, then you're the authority. And we just sort of fall in with that. And maybe it's a new thing happening. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm just watching with great curiosity.
Cool.
I don't even know if it's cool or not, but anyway, we're struggling to love one another when we might get pissed off and so forth. That's my take.
Forgiveness is definitely a key.
Mm,
And breathing.
right.
And
So,
we extend love in your direction, to your hip especially, and appreciation to the doctor for the skill that, what I understood, you walked 30 steps with with a walker just short time after you got out of surgery. That's like,
yep, they make you
wow.
get right up. That's the easiest because you're on big painkillers. Walking today was different. It was hard to do. But it was so cute because Jonathan used to work with all these doctors and he waltzes in
Right,
and they're just loving on him all over the places. The nurses were squealing and the doctors were hugging him and patting him on the back. And they say, "Why don't you come back?" and all this stuff. And he is firm now that he doesn't belong in there in that profession anymore. So
right.
he was just heartened by the whole thing. It was like a love fest. And boy, those nurses are good.
Nice
Michael,
welcoming.
I was thinking about the fact that I used to volunteer at hospice. It was very easy to love those patients because what you see is their shininess. You don't know they're garbage. So you can just feel loving going back and forth like mad. And I think the nurses feel that too. They don't know anything about me except what I look like, and I'm old and decrepit, and I need a new hip. But they were all very loving. And there's something gorgeous about that. To keep that
For
new
sure.
mind with the whole person, just keep a new mind as if you never met them before.
Cool. I'm with you.
So Linda wanted to talk, so I'm going to mute.
All right, dear heart. Glad you're here.
Thanks. I'm glad to.
Hey there, Miss Linda. My apology for jumping in with Susan. I wasn't sure how long she'd be here with the fact that she just got out of major surgery 20 hours ago or so. So welcome.
Well, Mr. Michael, I'm
Hey
doing
there.
well. Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
What's on your mind for today?
I listen. Oh, not much. I listened to. Oh, did I just say not much? I must be ill. I just
Cancel that thought.
listened to Friday. Cancel that thought. I just listened to a Friday show, and I'm really grateful to re-listen to it and to reaffirm for myself how meaningful what you said and what everybody said and what I said on the show. I felt that it was wonderful. I agree with Susan Bingham. I think there's a evolutionary process that we as a family of love in our little pod are experiencing now, and it's exciting, it's exhilarating as each one of us stretches in our own personal growth. And so I'm looking forward. I can't remember if I were on the show Monday or not, but I'll definitely
No, you weren't
re-listen
here
to
Monday.
all of. I didn't think so.
Yeah, you missed
So I think
Monday.
right. I think I'll go ahead and I don't know whether I would be best to listen to Tuesday's show first or Monday's show first, but I'll listen to. It may take me a little while to find the time space in the silence to listen.
Right.
But I will definitely listen to them both because this is so. I love what you said about Midrash, because the book I was reading, written by a Kabbalistic rabbi,
Right.
called God is a Verb, which he says right in the book in one passage, we don't know. We're just using these words to try to describe the best we know how what we think we know.
Right.
So I love the Eastern mystics when they say, I know nothing. I'm practicing that mantra. It doesn't come easily to me, Michael. So anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to all that. And a conversation happened in the first, I don't know if it was the first or second show today that I was thinking about, and it just resonated for me so deeply. We bring, I think Susan F. said it, we bring all of ourselves to the table. The good, the ugly, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, it all comes forth to the table. And to realize that we can be held in the grace of love extending from each one of us. And even if it's withheld from some of us because we're struggling with our issue in the moment, or whatever that is, the power person dynamics always is involved in those issues, seems to me. We bring ourselves to the table anyway, in as authentic a way as we can possibly muster, feel safe enough to muster. And I think that is a beautiful picture for me. And the table that we come to is a smorgasbord. We get to choose. Yes. And that's it.
Cool. Well, I think
in
regard to Friday's show, there was nothing on Monday's show that was relative to Friday's show. It was the conversation yesterday related to Friday's show, but Monday there was no conversation that was relative. So you don't necessarily need to go back and listen to that one, but it's there, so we know it's in the archives. We're blessed by that.
We are blessed by that. And every day I am grateful for all of us. And Carrie, I would love to have you in my contact list. You said some really sweet things today that I totally resonate with. And I would love to have your contact number. So maybe through Jeannie we can get that done. That would be sweet if you're interested.
Yes, Jeannie, that's
okay,
fine.
Michael.
You can send her my list, my number.
Okay. We'll pass your numbers on to each other then.
Yes, thank you so much for all you've contributed to the show and your sweet soul.
Cool. Any other thoughts for you, young lady?
No, that's it. Just that last thought was for Carrie, was for us all.
All right, blessings. Appreciate you. All right, well, anyone else have a thought to share with us? I'm not sure if Cammie got kicked out and she's coming back in, so just hit the admit button to Carrie. Maybe check in with Terry and see how things are going with his brother and his son. If there's anything to share with us, Terry?
Hello.
Hey, welcome, sir.
Yeah.
I love that picture of you outstanding in your field.
Yeah. Well, I'm standing in the field right now. I'm over here.
Are you really? Okay.
Working on a project and listening to the show at the same time. And I just on the way over, had a really nice long conversation with Ian. He's doing really great. And
awesome.
Coming right along. He's doing well. He's back in the groove, and he's focusing on the right things for him to have a higher quality of life. And I enjoy it. My brother, he's doing good. We had fun. I take him to the doctor, and he really likes me doing that. So I enjoy it too. So those two areas are nice, just to support one human helping another. Yeah, and I like the dialogue today. I was offered, talking about the quality of the shows and all. And I've said this to you before. It's like the more I listen, the smarter you get.
Smoke and mirrors, right?
yeah. So I'm always alert to see what's coming up, what's going on, and how the growth is going. But other than that,
Cool.
I'm just going to listen.
I'm glad things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, good.
I did some work with Dan yesterday. I understand he's coming down to see you next week, and he's going to come by here too. So I look forward to seeing him.
Oh, good. Yeah, he was. We've been talking about that, and then he had worked through some resistance. It sounds like, and got it connected with you there. That's awesome. And, he told me he did a breath session, and it's like good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, he got some really nice openings and touching some good stuff. So moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I would say he was definitely in a state of readiness.
Yeah, a heavy duty readiness for sure.
Yeah.
Is a good thing.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts for you, sir?
I'm good, my friend.
All right. You have a blessed one. Lots of love.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. So it looks like we've got about 10 or 12 minutes left. Anyone else going to hit that mute button and say hello? Share what's on your mind. Miss Jeannie, do we have anything in the way of questions in email or from the app
No,
that we might step into an answer?
I had sent you an email the other day. Someone was asking about the Caboris. I don't know if you want to address that here. I'd have to
Well,
find
let's ask the question.
it. Let me find it. Okay. He says, I came across a reference to Dan McDougall's original work, Emotional Maturity, EMI workbook, also cited under the title, A Working Answer to Criminality in Goebel F. 1970. The Third Force, the Psychology of Abraham Maslow. My research has pointed to your organization as continuing McDougall's legacy. I'm curious about the original date of publication of this work and whether it's still accessible in any form.
Yes, actually, emotional maturity instruction was last taught probably, let me think here, about is 25 years ago. And emotional maturity instruction, at the time that I met Dan McDougall, I was teaching work that I called Lessons in Living. And Dan and I had discovered that we had traveled similar paths. Him from a legal point of view, he was an attorney, and me from the healing point of view as a naturopath. And so we combined his emotional maturity and Lessons in Living and created a thing called Laws of Living. And Dan passed away, I'm not even sure what year now, but probably 12 years ago. And so I have been teaching Laws of Living on occasion. In fact, we're just working with the facilitated codependence to interdependence communication practicum. And once we've completed that, we've had some people inquiring. And so I think we're going to do an online Zoom Laws of Living, which will probably start sometime in the new year. It'll be after we finish with the facilitated codependence to interdependence. So that's an update on that. As far as I know, there is no, Dan passed all of the documents, all of the materials on to me, and they're actually sitting at Heartland right now. And so I've carried on since he passed, teaching Laws of Living. When we combined our work, for a period of about, not even sure, 10 or 12 years. Each summer, Dan would come out and co-teach a laws of living class with me. And I would spend time in Albany, Georgia. We had a thing called the Social Service Agency, and I would spend time there, and we would teach in the prisons, the jail locally and in the prison, the laws of living course. So, but it was the EMI was kind of faded in the background, and laws of living took over.
Time
Does that sound
flies
like it covers?
and fun. He passed away in 2000.
Say it again.
I just looked it up, and he passed away in 2000.
25 years, yeah. Just doesn't seem that long. Bless his heart. He was an amazing guy. He was just amazing. Everybody called him Mr. Mac. And Dan and I did a lot of when we were putting our work together. He could be a hothead, and we did a lot of push and pull as we hammered out what would come into the laws of living course, and the impact it had on people. I mean, he ran the Judicial Service Agency in Albany, Georgia, under Judge Kelly, and I'll tell you, it was a tough town. And I remember one day there was a young man in his late teens or early 20s. I don't remember exactly, but around 20-ish. Big guy. And when I say big guy, I mean like 6'7", maybe 350 pounds. And this kid had spent most of his adult life, when I say adult, I mean from the time of 13 when he first went into jail, he spent most of his adult life in jail or prison, one or the other, a combination of both. But I remember one day he came bouncing into the classroom. We had a classroom at the Social Service Agency, and he was about as excited as a 3-year-old. This huge, I mean, this is not the kind of guy you want to meet in an alley just to look at him. But he came bouncing in and, Mr. Mac, I kept Barakma active all week this week. So there's just, and everybody, Judicial Service Agency, all these prisoners here, this guy cared so deeply about these people and was there in such a powerful way that, I mean, these young people, these kids, even the old-time prisoners. There's one particular case where he was working in the federal prison in Atlanta, and there was a guy who had murdered several people, and somebody in the prison system put a contract out on Dan. And this murderer, who saw what Dan was doing, how he was benefiting and supporting people, people who were considered to be the bottom of the barrel that nobody bothers with. And this guy who was a murderer became Dan's protector in the prison. I mean, he literally protected him from this contract being carried out on him. So he was really, really cherished. And actually, I keep a picture of him right up here over where I do my radio show that I look at every once in a while and thank him and appreciate him for still being on the team and assisting and supporting in keeping this work moving forward on a global scale. So, thank you, Mr. Mack. Does that sound like it
Yeah, I think so.
answers the questions yeah. Cool. Cool. Awesome. Well, anybody else have a thought to share with us? Question, answer, idea. If not, then what do you say we just get quiet, get focused, get centered? If you're in a place where you can do it, close your eyes and allow yourself to just take a couple of really deep, sweet, connected breaths where the in-breath and the out-breath just unify, flow as a unit. Allow yourself to touch deeply into the intelligence of the breath, the wisdom of the breath, the revelations that breath make available to you. And as you do, let your breath soften everything within your structure, everything that you call your body. Just let it all soften. Notice if there's anywhere that the breath tends to get hung up. And take your energy, your awareness to that spot, if there is a place. And let the breath just go through that restricted place, opening restriction, letting go of resistance, opening the breath to flow into every cell in your structure, trillions of cells, receiving the life force and the wisdom of the breath. And notice in each cell, as you look with your inner eye, notice the light in each cell of your structure. And breathe the breath of life into that light and allow it to be strengthened. And as it strengthens, as it grows with each breath, see that light spilling out over the edge of every cell in your structure and connecting with the light that spills over the edges of every other cell. All division and all separation in your structure disappear, and the breath brings unification throughout your whole structure. Your jaw softens. Your hands gently open. Your breath flows easily through your throat, through an open, relaxed jaw, up into your brain, opening and carrying that light, and allowing that light to expand beyond your body, beyond the cellular structure, to just expand out to touch everyone in the city that you're in. As you breathe, that light touching the light in every other person expands and strengthens that light. And it reflects back to you, strengthening the light in yourself. And know that of a truth, you are a being of light. Only light can come to you. And only light can be where you are. And thank you for joining us. Blessing.